Welcome to With You Every Step, a Brown Shoe Fit Company experience. All right, everybody, back for episode 2. Craig and I were excited to be here. How you doing?
Doing great, man. Another great day, and jumping into the second part. And we said 100 episodes earlier, I think, last time. So it's we're on number 2, baby. Let's do it.
Let's go. Yeah, we're here at the Apex Waukee School. Want to mention that. Super grateful that they are allowing us to use their podcast studio.
Yeah, it's we got to do a little tour a couple weeks ago, and Russ showed us around and had a couple students join us, and all kinds of things going on here, which is super, super cool, and exposing students to different career paths where they can actually jump in and do some of the work, and then they're bringing in business people, professional people to work with the kids, and yeah, it's maybe I would have liked school back in the day if we had it. It was very traditional, obviously, when I graduated in 87 from high school. So partly what brought me to the shoe store is I was not a great student. I kind of got by and did what I had to do to get out, but I knew that I wanted to get into the shoe business. So here we are.
And Brown Shoe Fit is for everyone. That speaks to that, whatever educational journey you've had. Whether you want to do school or not, it's a great opportunity. And, just as with any business investment, things compound after time. So I got my first store when I was 28, would have loved to, there's people getting in earlier than that now and would have loved to get in even sooner. So if you end up listening and Browns seems like right up your alley, a great opportunity for you, then what better day to check it out than today?
Yeah, with that, we literally had owners coming in at 21. I think 21's our youngest still.
Mm-hmm. Sounds right.
I was 22.
Okay.
But 2 days later, I turned 23. But I'm claiming 22.
Perfect.
April 1st, and then 2 days later, I turned 23. But yeah, and long game with us on the investing side. It obviously, if you're an investor or if you study investing, one of the biggest things is time,
mm-hmm.
and compound interest is real. And Brown Shoe Fit offers compound interest in an investing opportunity that is truthfully unmatched.
Yep.
Some of the numbers that are created over a 35, possibly 40-year career path,
yep.
It's crazy what the numbers turn into.
Yeah, so. I can speak to that too. Just almost 15 years ago, just researching what opportunities are out there and where Brown sat against other things. In the previous episode, I mentioned I didn't have $1 million in the bank capital, but the low investment, Brown's financing the opportunity to own your own business, which is what I wanted, own my own business, yes, but have a team, give back to a community, do something alongside other people. That's the cool thing. All the cool things. You get to buy shoes, which is super important to a lot of people in our company. They like fashion. There's just all sorts of benefits to Brown Shoe Fit, and finding your lane and surrounding yourself with other people that, have the same goals in common. You can cast that vision to your team and bring people alongside you to help you achieve your goals, but not exactly the same, because a well-balanced team has different strengths, different weaknesses. Today's episode is kind of going to be a continuation of episode 1, where we talk about who we're looking for and what exactly that looks like. And we touched on it in the last episode, self-driven people. But, we've both seen, people come. We've also seen people go, retirements. We just had, some great store operators in Greg Augustine, Steve Purdom retire, to see that and to see, others over the years who have retired and just get to that place and people around the room stand up, that have had those individuals who are retiring, speak to them about the opportunity, lead them into Browns, own a store, operate a store, and stand up. And try to put myself in that situation and want that for myself, where many people in the room stand up because I told them about the opportunity, led them into the opportunity. It's a legacy thing. And so continuation thing. And gosh, I can't imagine that Wynn thought that Browns would turn into this, when he was starting, but it's just all a continuation of what that man laid the ground roots for. And we have the opportunity. We get to continue it. It's a blessing. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, it's a generational piece, right? I mean, it's one thing to start a business and be successful, and maybe your kids want it, or maybe you sell it off, but with Browns, we're sixth generation ish, right? With from when to where we are now, and so to be involved and be part of a generational company, and like we talked in episode 1, and we'll hit a little harder today, the ownership model is the same now as it was back in 1921 with our second location. Mm-hmm. So then it's just, probably one of the things that hits me the hardest on this conversation of growth and ownership and bringing people in, or people being attracted to us, maybe once they've worked in the store. And, my path, my vision for hiring next generation owners was so much of it was finding young people, finding maybe the high school kid that had the standout personality and the standout smile. And so many of the people that started with us, they literally started as high school part-time person. And then they asked a lot of questions. Mm-hmm. And then the ultimate question of, what's up with this program thing? What's up with owning one of these stores? When they start asking those questions, then you have somebody that you can hopefully lead down the way and teach them more and into that ownership path. But that's I think I said it last episode too, that will always be my biggest piece with Brown Shoe Fit Company, is bringing other owners in to this company.
And you're our best at it. And you're probably, because you're always looking, too, you always make room for the right people. I know we've talked about that.
Yeah, and I truly don't know about best, but I definitely am the biggest. So with that, whatever that is, I've hired 27, I think, people. 17 of them got their own store, became an owner.
Yeah.
And then we still have 10. There's still 10 people that I've worked with that are still working with us today, as an owner. So it is a big piece of me. It's a big piece of what I've done with my career, and we hit this last time too. But the uniqueness of every situation was extremely unique, and in a handful of people that had everything that we were looking for. Mm-hmm. They had it all. They had the personality. They had the work ethic. They had the drive. But they didn't love retail. Mm-hmm. They thinking of one young man. He was a mechanic at heart, and so he chased his mechanic talent and desire, and always super, super happy for people when they figure out what they do want, and they go get it. And if that's not the shoe store, that's cool too. You gotta chase your dreams.
That's the biggest thing, and that speaks a lot to who you are, right? No matter who someone becomes in the end later on, you're giving them your best self while they're at your store, whether they become a doctor or whatever. You're just, you're giving them your best, and your attention and pouring into them, giving them lessons that they can go live life with and become better human beings, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And retail does that, right? Like retail is a great profession for anybody to jump into and try, whether they're a young high school student or a college part-time job. And especially the way we do it, we do one-on-one customer care, customer experience. So we dive right in with the customer. So no matter what profession you go into, if you spend time in the shoe store as a young person, you can learn a lot of things that you can take with you. And yeah, I never, ever feel disappointed if someone does not want to do this. And I always use the comparison to my own kids, right? Like both Cole and Carson, my son and my daughter, they had all the ability in the world to do what we do. And they grew up in it, right? They both worked part-time in the shoe store. They both were fantastic kids. They are fantastic kids, but they both had other dreams and desires, and they chased them. And Cole did want to be a doctor, and he got his doctorate in physical therapy. And Carson, went down the nursing path, and she's a registered nurse, first assist in the surgery room, and she stands shoulder to shoulder with surgeons. And I couldn't be more proud. And I'm sure not upset or hurt that they chose a different path. Mm-hmm. So that same thing goes true with anyone else.
Yep.
And I've had plenty of them that could have done it, but they chose not to, and that's cool. I'm happy for them.
And that question you ask everybody, myself included, what do you want? It sounds like a simple question, but it isn't. And I think each person has to define what success means to them, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You have only one person to please, yourself. Of course, your spouse and you have to have conversations on that.
Yeah, there's maybe two
selfish,
people.
Right. There's, depending on your situation, but yeah, I mean, what does success mean to you? That's huge. And what do you want?
That's big. And I do use that a lot, and especially the last 5 years or so in my mentoring work that I love doing, and it's again one of my favorite things is mentoring younger people and talking shop or talking life or talking health, whatever the subject might be. I try to use my decades of time and experience, and especially on the retail shoe store side, right? That's who I am. That's what I've done. But figuring out what you want, that's big. Mm-hmm. And again, looking at all the kids in the school and walking around, and they're, I think 18 to 25, that's tough. What do you want to do for the rest of your life? And if I get the opportunity, I'll tell any young person, you don't have to have it figured out.
That's right.
Right? Like we come across a lot of 30 to 50-year-olds that still don't have it figured out.
Yep.
We always think that older person, that older next generation has it all figured out, but they don't. A lot of them don't. So I think there's a lot of pressure to figure out your life from, now they're doing it clear down to maybe middle school, like what your interests are. And mm-hmm. I'm sure it helps figure out maybe what you don't want, because I think that's important too.
Absolutely. That's sometimes the easier way to frame that, for sure.
Yeah, I remember Cole talking about that when he was trying to figure out. He knew he wanted medicine. He knew he wanted to go down that road somewhere, but he actually found PT because of that. He figured out what he did not want, and that did lead him to PT. And I think that's the case with our people in our stores. They'll work in the shoe store. They love it. Days go fast. Hours go fast. But maybe they're going to school for something else, and then they realize they love the shoe store. Mm-hmm. So they maybe, I've had x-ray techs. I've had accounting students. I've had pre-law students. I've had teachers that literally decided to do the shoe business and chase that path because they loved it. So
Yeah, for me, I mean, I knew I wanted to be a business person, but the actual product, I don't think it really mattered. At the end of the day, I wanted to be a business person, have my own team, own a business, give back to a community. The P&L is the game part to me. But then, you get to a certain point where for me, there had to be more. And that's where, realize just the importance of people. And that's where that, I guess that wiring, that thought, that deep conviction on just how important people are to success. For me, it just had to be more. And that more for me was people. So you can apply that to any business. You're listening now and you're not in retail. Whatever business you're in, we're all in the same business. It is the people business.
100%. And we know, and from when Brown to today, we have proven, and again, this is not Brown Shoe Fit, secret. This is business, but we grow with people.
Yep.
And that's the only. I do think one unique thing to Brown's, especially in the retail environment, we have purposefully built people first, and then we grow.
Yep.
And we purposefully do that. We don't have a goal of 100 stores this year or by 2029, or we don't have these growth pattern goals that we have to live by or that we force ourselves to live by as a company. We literally find people, grow people, and now we can grow. Mm-hmm. And that's not real common. Mm-hmm. I think the growth pattern is decided in boardrooms, decided with number crunching, and we've never done that. And I think it's why we're so strong financially. Mm-hmm. It's why we're so strong with people. It's why we have 73 profitable stores.
Yeah.
Every single store is profitable.
Huge. Not every company can say that. Not many probably can say that. Not sure, but
I don't know either. I get my Brown Shoe Fit blinders on, but but I do know we grow people and we grow owners, and then we find opportunities. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt we could open a few more stores, right? There's right. That generation is getting out. Maybe their kids don't want it. I think Cammie has probably a list of 2 to 5 stores on her desk at all times that we could probably go buy their businesses. But we're not going to do that without people. Mm-hmm. And good people and the right people. And so that's part of this conversation is finding the right people.
Yeah, it just reminds me that, definitely some of my own fulfillment found in my work, but Brown's offers more than financial or, just the day-to-day job, even career. It offers fulfillment in a way because when you put people first, there is giving back. There is future giving back too. Those people go on to become great human beings. They start giving back to, whatever their journey is. There's just fulfillment found in that every day, showing up, being able to pour into people, pour into customers. So if you're listening, need to find more purpose fulfillment in your work, we're an opportunity for that.
This is a great company for that. I'll never, one of my core principles, I guess you will, or one of my core beliefs that I just know so deeply and I learned from Brown's fairly early on was the there's really only 3 things to fulfillment, happiness, what you're talking about. Of course, your health is number 1, and you have to have your health or you have nothing, right? And then someone who loves you is your family, God, whatever you choose there, but you have to have love in your life. And then the third one, which you hit on, is the self-worth piece. And that's what owning a business can give you and has given me over 35 years is the self-worth piece. Because are the owner. We are the decision maker. Everything falls on our back, and we grow this thing. And as you do that, and you learn and you grow, the self-worth that you build and the internal happiness that you build is real. And that, so those three things, I don't know. We don't always have it out there. We don't talk about it a ton, but I remember C.E. Hornbuckle. I was, probably 17, 18, when I learned that from him. Your health, someone who loves you, and self-worth. And with those three things, there's not a whole lot else that matters.
No, there's so much in that. It's really good. I mean, so this episode's all about, again, what we offer, but then also the people that we're looking for. Let me think about where I want to go next.
Yeah.
We can edit this part out.
Yeah, if that got too deep, too much, we can. The Monday, Friday thing.
I had a thought, but then it went away. I probably just need something to eat. I'll bring a snack next time. What do you think on that? I mean, we could go into the stories on who you've seen come and go, but I don't know the value.
I know.
Like, what's the value proposition for people listening?
And we kind of hit it on the, what you want, and it's not for everybody. Kind of hit some of that. Yeah, I don't know that we want to go exact person or anything. I mean, I threw the kids out there, but that's safe, obviously.
Right.
Do we go into the just the retail life and the retail grind? And I mean, retail is still a unique, especially the way we do it. Like, it is a unique lifestyle.
Yeah, that was the thought, highlighting the different areas of business that you can focus on. And
yeah, your team building. I almost ran with that too. I think your team building inside of your own store, like we talked earlier, like what you love,
right,
you can lean into.
Yep. At the end of the day, the P&L are the results. As long as you're producing, at the end of the day, our number one thing is partners, and we're a business, and produce, So that is what gets us in the weeds sometimes. But again, that's where that conversation of giving a platform to speak, you earn that. Like, we're an earning company. You earn everything, taking extreme ownership. We talked about that in episode 1.
And maybe that's a good way to jump into it is, you start with, you get what you earn, you earn what you get with us. You can grow as an operator and get more opportunities, get bigger opportunities, which will allow you to build bigger teams of people.
Yeah, and then
given.
Yeah.
That's
and then if there's anything
performance based
specific that you've done over the years to help make you successful that could apply to our business or other people's businesses, some tips and tricks on things that you've found.
Maybe I'd jump in on that part to the team, over the build. Like, I had to do everything myself.
Yep.
And now, with the team of 17 people, I don't. Yep. It's just different. But then my focus can be, so I could jump into that off of focus or off of team building or what I've seen, again, moving the needle is people.
Yep. I like it. All right. And we were on, that's so good. Now we can segue into talking about just some things that you've felt have made you successful over the years, maybe bringing this back to the listener in whatever career field they're in, just some things you've seen, Craig, that have made you successful over the years in your own business. Is there anything specific you can think of that could help listeners?
Yeah, hopefully, right? Hopefully. But again, my 30-year growth in Fort Dodge, I'll just kind of use that and jump into that brain a little bit of, starting out, it was myself, and they did transfer in an assistant manager for me from another Brown Shoe Fit store. So Todd was already trained. He could hit the floor with me, but it was just the two of us when we opened the store in Fort Dodge. I hired actually the connection to the Whittam family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I hired Irv Whittam's grandson. So
cool.
Who lived in Fort Dodge at the time. He was a junior in high school. Tried to make him a shoe guy. Tried to get him into the business, but he went on to be an attorney, successful attorney out in Colorado now. Shout out to Mike. He was my first hire off of the floor, and a little bit of family connection, obviously. And then I hired Megan, who was a customer. I think my first, besides Mike, that was a family connection. But then I just kept hiring customers. So as customers were in the store, because I couldn't, we were open from 9 to 8, Monday through Friday, weekends, 7 days a week.
So the people you were seeing.
The people I was seeing. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't even, I barely ate in those years because I just had to work and building that thing from zero. But again, growing the team of people over the years, just kept hiring. And then when I hired Amanda Specht in 99, she was one of the first full-time people that I hired outside of an assistant manager. I always had an assistant manager, always had somebody interested in the business, interested in the company that wanted to grow with me in my store, but they also wanted to grow on a career basis. So I always had an assistant manager. Like we've talked before, I've hired a lot of them, and I just always had one. It was always a position I kept full.
Was that an expectation company-wide or an expectation you put on yourself?
Both. Brown Shoe Fit there is an expectation to perpetuate the company. Yeah. It is one of our standards, right?
Right.
We're not always great at it. We try to operate successful stores, which truthfully doesn't always resonate with the next generation of owners. It's kind of a twofold piece with operating a successful store. You really don't want to build up your number two person, then to move them on and lose them, right? That's not great for your store, but it is a necessity for the company. So we in my 35 years, that's always been a fight. That's always been a challenge. But it is what it is. Just call it out. That's part of who we are. That's part of what we do. So
it's part of being Brown Shoe Fit.
Part of being Brown Shoe Fit. If you want to perpetuate this company, the only way to do that is hire future owners.
Yeah.
So I just always had it in me. But again, I know I had an advantage with the dad that I have.
Yep.
I know he was one of the best at it until I came along and beat him. But he hired a lot of assistant managers, and he put a lot of good people out in the field. He hired Steve Ruzak, one of my good friends from kindergarten. He ran this company. Steve was one of our best operators. He was also one of our best presidents and CEOs who retired a few years ago. But Dad hired Steve. Dad saw in Steve what maybe a lot of other people did not. Dad hired Brian Kelly, who literally was on a trash truck and picked up trash at the shoe store. Dad saw so much in Brian, hired Brian. He became an owner. So anyway, I grew up in it. Dad and I always had the talk of, are they a Brown Shoe Fit person or are they not? We literally would label people that we would know or run into, or we would be at a restaurant and the waitress would be either a Brown Shoe Fit potential or not, right? So
Always looking.
Always looking. I always am looking. I'm always thinking about, who that potential hire could be. But anyway, as we go through the years in Fort Dodge, and one of the biggest things, and I think this definitely pertains to any business, not just shoe retail, is building a team of people. You can only sell so many shoes yourself. Your one other person can only sell so many shoes themselves. I always set my team up for the potential busiest hour. I think if there's a little tidbit of advice on the build of a team is you have to have enough people to handle your busiest hour of business.
That's so important.
Not your least busiest hour, which a lot of people do, right? They cut their crew so tight, or it gets quiet and they start sending people home. What a huge mistake, because 14 minutes later, if you have a store full of customers and you just sent some staff home, truthfully, I could never get my head around it. I always had enough staff and team to handle the busiest potential hour. They don't always come. You're not always that busy. But anyway, building a team of people. And then as we grew, we were able to build job-specific team members. I think starting out, we always want to hire ourselves. We always want to hire a floor person. We always want to hire the personality. But then if you have a store full of people, nobody wants to post invoices. Nobody wants to do payroll. Nobody wants to check freight in on the computer for 3 hours. And so you kind of learn some lessons the hard way. Mm-hmm. And then I started hiring for specific jobs, and hiring a bookkeeper is a must. Probably my quickest recommendation is hire a bookkeeper. Unless you love doing books. I can't imagine you get into retail business because you love doing books, but
you wouldn't think.
If you're a people person, you got to hire a bookkeeper. And then we were able to hire specific people just to do freight and just to answer the phone. And Kyle's been with us for almost 5 years, and it makes the whole rest of the team better, and the whole rest of the team can focus better and be more into the floor, more on top of customers. So, but building that team is an extremely valuable stepping stone process.
Is there anything you do specifically to get to know your team better to help you fit them in the right places, like strengths test or colors, and something we've done internally, or is that just a conversation, feel out, ask them what they're passionate about, and that helps drive it, or certain things you look for?
Kelsey's helped with that, right? Kelsey's really good at that. I know we've all done the color test, and we did do predictive index, I think was the title of it, and I had my whole team do that. Okay. It was great. They enjoyed it. I let them read mine. I let them read. Everybody shared everybody's, right? So then we kind of learn strengths and weaknesses of the entire team, which is very valuable. I wasn't real surprised because we work pretty close together. We spend about 50 hours a week together. I have always had a family style environment. We do spend 5 to 50 minutes, very nonchalantly, very unorganized, but we just talk life. We catch up on the Monday mornings. We are interested in what one another are doing outside of work. It's nothing real formal, but we talk a lot. So we share each other's lives, and I think I've just always done that. That's what Dad did. I think it's the best. I want an environment that's comfortable, where people care about each other, and to not ask them how their weekend was on a Monday morning. Truthfully, I can't imagine being in an environment like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're really good at it. Been in your store first thing in the morning. You're always the first to say good morning. Make sure to see how their day was. That's a practice. That's a habit that you've just instilled. And, it shows care for sure. I think and has inspired me. I think it just shows care to your team too. So
Yeah, it's one little thing that I didn't even realize I was doing it. I think Jazzy's the one that called it out, that she couldn't wait to have her own team and her own store and to be the one that greeted the help in the morning. But every morning as people come in, I get up and meet them at the door, or I meet them halfway, or I meet them at the counter when they're clocking in. And no matter what I'm doing, I stop what I'm doing and I go and say good morning to them.
mm-hmm.
I don't wait for them to come around the corner in the back room. That feels rude to me, truthfully. Like they're coming to work with me. The least I can do is go say good morning and ask them how their night was. So seems small, but
it's big.
It's big, and I have felt it work in a way that is maybe even hard to explain.
Yeah. And you pouring into your team, right? We talk about the big three and Browns quite a bit, and this pertains also to any business you're in. You know, guest experience, so much of that is your team pouring out into the, guest experience while they're there in your store, and that creates word of mouth. You know, there's also marketing. We spend a lot of time focusing on that. And then inventory, of course, the other big one. But no matter what business you're in, those are three key areas that if you focus on that, with as much as you can, right, as someone who wanted to be a business person, talking shop, talking P&L, those things are definitely things that I wanted, that seemed real to me, that seemed like motivation to me, and something to call my own. So those three areas definitely affect each Brown store. You're listening, not in Browns, affects your business. And so definitely the hats that each store operator wears all the time. But of course, time and attention helps everything. And so as you are talking about a team, hiring people, different focuses, maybe speak about some of the things. Like when I was operating a store, had a marketing person, wanted to hire a person just focused on inventory, me and the person over the sales floor, we were definitely tag teaming the guest experience. But the more people that are capable, focused on things, the quicker results comes. That's at least what I found out. And so that's the importance of having a team trained, in those conversations, one-on-one meetings, either, one-on-one meetings with the circle weekly, but at least monthly with those non-key people, but then store meetings monthly. How does that look in your own store, and maybe the amount of times that you're focused on those categories and what that looks like?
Yeah, that's all about the team growth, right, and team building. So recently, probably the last 5-6 years, I've worked really hard on those principles in the store, the standards that I've kind of grown this thing by, and the three for me. And I've flipped it probably 3-4 years ago. So it was always customer first. It was always, customer. I grew up in the age where the customer's always right. That was a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad did not. The old school guys, like the customer was not always right. Like you're not bringing that shoe back if you wore it. Like I think my generation flipped into that mentality of the customer's always right. And I stayed on that for probably a decade, maybe two. And I've flipped this because of atmosphere, because of culture, because of how the store feels is why I flipped this to the crew first, culture first. The culture of the store is our single most important piece, which is the team, which is the crew getting along. It's the crew not being at each other. They're not fighting over a skig or a commission or a customer. Like we are getting along. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Just like any family, we're going to have our family feuds, right? But the work is we work at the culture, and which I don't love the word culture, so I kind of flipped it to crew. Crew first. A very, very close second, as close as you can possibly get, is the customer, because we have to have the customer, but the crew first. then the customer, and then we have to consistently grow.
Yeah.
And consistency is a piece we'll talk about more, and it's one of our favorite pieces to talk about, right? But so those three things, but as that team is built, again, we can't be all floor people.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a shoe store, doing the business we're doing. Somebody's got to do freight. Somebody's got to do invoices. So now if you hire specifically for those strengths, then you can focus on the floor better.
Mm-hmm.
And I can take my top people and they can do what they do. They can do what they do better if they're not being interrupted with answering the telephone. Right. So if we have someone that answers the phone, now my top salespeople do not have to be interrupted with the phone. And that one little thing has been a complete game changer for us on our floor. And it's been 4 or 5 years we've been doing that. Another big piece, and I try to mentor on this too, is we came up with the circles of the team. So circle 1, they get 110% of me. They get me pretty much every morning. They get all my vision. They get all my thoughts. They get all my frustrations. They get everything. And typically that's Amanda and my assistant manager. But then I give that out to them, and then they help me fix whatever needs fixed. They help me run with whatever we're running with. But that circle 1 is a really heart of my team. That, again, they know everything. There are 0 secrets in that operation with circle 1. And then circle 2 is the more specific players, the bookkeeper, the freight person, salesperson, and they get me 1 to 3 mornings a week, probably, maybe more, depending on what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But they get me daily any issues, any problems. My classic line, especially to Kim, my bookkeeper, anything weird. If there's nothing weird, we're good.
Yeah.
Because she's so good. I know that she's so good and she's so on top of her game that if there is something weird, she's going to let me know.
Mm.
But I still ask because I want to be involved, but I do not want to be involved in the bookwork on a daily basis. Details are not my thing.
Yeah.
So I've moved myself out of the details.
No, that's really good. And I think just leaders overall, the leaders that have impacted me the most, right? And I was having this conversation this weekend. There's a guy actually I had on my other podcast in the past. His name's Bob Goff, and he's just he's an author, but he wrote the book Love Does, really good book. But just the busier he got, it seemed like the more available he was. And I don't know how he did it, but he did it, right? But just that way of positioning yourself, running a store for Browns, if you're not with Browns in your own business, just figuring out how to be more available. I think we minimize sometimes the impact that can have on people's lives. And so, definition of leadership, influence, nothing more, nothing less to influence, got to be available for the people in your lives to then pour into. And so that's a really good reminder.
Yeah. And that kind of leads into, as you build your team and you build that time with them, you build that trust. Mm-hmm. And I think that trust piece, you don't have trust with a new hire.
No.
At least you shouldn't, right?
Right.
Because you gotta earn trust in no matter what kind of relationship it is. But when you're building a team of people, as that trust grows, so does the freedom for the leader. Because you trust they're doing it right. You don't have to spend as much time on that particular thing. So then you can go spend time on other things. But you have to be available to your team. You cannot be, and that's the thing with Browns too. I think this is an important piece if you're attracted to Browns, if you're attracted to owning a business. This is not an absentee owner model.
Right.
This is an owner-operator model, and you have to be in it. You have to work it. The expectation is, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to put hours on it because you do what you got to do, and it's all performance-based. If you perform, you do earn a little bit more freedom. But if you're not performing, there's eyes on you for sure.
Trust is so big.
Yeah.
With team, with customers, all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that's the slow build. Like you said, we don't have trust with people immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That takes consistency over time, building that and showing up daily, doing the work, proving yourself to customers that you're here for them repeatedly. A great guest experience every time. Trust is built with your employees by showing up, being there for them daily. And a lot of beautiful things can be built on trust. Relationships flourish when there's large amounts of trust, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. And then we're all in a little different season, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're in a different season of our business, and I tell people often, like, I do have the 29-year advantage. I totally get that, and partly because of that, trust isn't built in 2 years,
Mm-hmm.
but over 29 years, we literally have the same customers for 29 years. We can literally sell them. They trust us. So we can sell them a Hoka, or we can sell them an On, or we can sell them a ASICS, or we can sell them because they trust us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the ultimate marketing ploy. It's the ultimate marketing piece that I think about a lot. Know you, like you, trust you.
Mm.
And when you get to that trust you, it's a whole different world. And it's not to take any of it for granted, because you can never take a customer for granted. But once you build that trust, it is a whole nother world for your business.
I think that's just speaks to your life work, right? I think it's so cool you have a body of work over a lifetime to point to, and the results are there, and you get to speak to a place of putting in the work and results being there. And I know listeners appreciate that. I know that I appreciate that. And I guess if anything from this episode, a main piece of advice that you'd leave with people, I think it's super helpful. Like we talked about it a lot today, but one idea at the end people can grab on and think about and maybe apply to their own lives. What would you say that is for you?
I'm going to go with building a team. I'm going to stick with that for the message at the end of this chat is build a team of people. You're never going to grow without them. And with our company, it's one of my favorite things is I literally get to go to work every day with people that I want to work with. Not sure who said it, but if you don't want to work with them for a lifetime, don't work with them for a day. We all get people in our stores. I usually tell people if you wake up and you're going to work and there's that person that's going to be there and you're kind of uneasy about it and your stomach's turning about it and you really don't really want to close with that person on a Tuesday night, you probably shouldn't have them in your store. And I struggle with candor. I suck at it. I'm way too soft sometimes, but I have always used, if I enjoy being around them, as my guiding light to building a team of people. And again, we're in a position and we're in a company where we're the ones that get to decide that. But I'm sticking with, for the one piece of advice on this episode is build a team of people. And that's where the real growth is with any business.
Love that. Much for tuning in to today's episode. If you're interested in finding out more about Brown Shoe Fit and the opportunity that we have, please visit brownshoefitco.com, our careers page, where you can find out more.